staff, it's just not Cesar Chavez, but other schools that I've been visiting and observing. I noticed that a lot of young kids, when I say young kids, the third grade and younger kids like the kindergarten on up, they're receiving a lot of worksheets. And that concerns me because in on those worksheets, the instructions are not very clear to the parents or to the learner that's trying to learn. And I find math or English, which is so important, and also observing in the high schools that's the same issue too. So I think it needs to be more hand-on involvement with the teachers, and I know staff has been kind of short too during the year. But can you give me some feedback? What are some of the things that you are doing to kind of like, in other words, the children are teaching themselves, and they do have difficulties in not learning, because there are some students that I have known that have problems in grasping English, and what are some of the other resources and things that you're using to help those kids to excel that's doing very low in that area?
I will take that question. Again, I'm Jennifer King. At Cesar Chavez, our ELL program has an after-school component to it. So for both our middle school and our high school, we are there from 4 to 5 with our English language learners working on homework assignments.
Okay, and also, are there any other projects that you are doing that the kids can go off to themselves and set up in a corner like a little a resource that they can, when they're having difficulties, because some kids are kind of like, when others are doing well, and they just take a little bit more time than others. So what are the processes that you're using to help those that need that little extra time to get that, to grasp that English lesson plan that you have planned?
While I work in the classroom, I also have a center set up with computers. I have an ELL library. I have a recorded library. I have adapted text materials from 6th through 12th grade that all English language learners can use, so we can move ahead and advance more quickly in the content.
And my time is up, but thank you. And also, I'm sure you're using the public libraries. That's important too. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we have any other members on the first round before I go to the second round? Okay. Ms. Wade?
Yes, my question again is general, and it has to do with the inclusionary and the, I don't like the word segregation, but I guess you could say that, the pullouts I'd rather use. We know that in many of the African American households, non-standard English and Ebonics is the primary language. So my concern becomes, how are these children being helped? And would the WIDA method of instruction, in your opinion, benefit those children who may as well be speaking a third world language for all intents and purposes as far as career and education goes? You can't write a decent sentence because you're speaking what you hear and know. So when you talk about the reading, writing, listening, and speaking, do you find that the children who are in the inclusionary classrooms, who get the ELL in the inclusionary classrooms, if it spills over into the general population and therefore benefiting all of the children, and if that is the case, what would be the argument for, other than for a small amount of the children, the pull-out method? I really have a great passion for that, and I feel a lot of our children are being left behind because they're not reinforced in the language.
Okay. Yeah. I can speak to that. In a lot of the training I do on methods for working with ELLs, when I work with general educators, one of the first things they'll say is that these methods are great for all my struggling students, not just the English language learners. So I could see the WIDA standards, especially in domains of speaking and writing, those productive domains, could be very useful for students that use Ebonics at home, I also think there could be some training for teachers on teaching all students about language, and that you may code switch, you may speak a different way at home, and that's fine, that's what you speak at home. But when you're in a formal setting, now we're going to use our school English, and not just to let them understand that they are code switching, and there are two different ways that we speak, and you speak certain ways in different settings, and we all change our register and the words we use depending on the people that we're with. And I think that would be something that we could teach all teachers to share with their students. Students are aware and are cognitive of the two types of languages that they are speaking. And those same methods that we use for ESL can carry over and help students.
Thank you very much. Ms. Rivera, just one quick question before you leave, and this one's more for our general viewing public. Some of the members of the viewing public might not be as familiar with the subject as you as subject matter experts are. When you talked about native language assessments and the 5 languages that are primarily seen here in the District of Columbia, could you name those 5 languages, or the ones that you see as being the most common?
I went by the presentation that you received in your December meeting, and I do not have the notes in front of me. I know that Spanish was one of the languages.
Of course, yes.
And I believe it was Vietnamese, and you have the...
I know them.
Okay.
Yes, they're Spanish, Chinese, French, Vietnamese, and Amharic.
Okay. And so it is your suggestion that we do the assessments in all 5 of those languages?
Correct. We were speaking earlier about the native language assessment. We understand that there has to be some cost effectiveness there. We understand that it's cost prohibitive from the information that I received and looked at from the last presentation that was done to the board. I believe there's 130 languages spoken in your DC schools.
Right.
So what we're looking at is just to capture your primary languages, the top 5.
Let me also add, as you're speaking about assessment, I would also urge the board to investigate the OMPAR test that's being developed by the Center for Applied Linguistics. And it's a test that's designed for ESL student that requires very little English knowledge to complete the test. They're working on it currently in science and in math, and it's at benchmark level, so it wouldn't be available for every grade, but it could be a test that all ESL students could use, and they're able to use it. It doesn't matter what language they speak or their proficiency in their home language.
Okay, thank you very much. If there are no more questions from the members of the State Board, I want to thank our first panel for being here tonight. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
And you are excused. Let me call the second panel to the table. Michael Syndrome, who was here with us last week, Bonnie Moisen, and Hayam Muhawi of the Stoddard Elementary School. And again, if you would identify yourselves for the record, and the time clock is over to your left. We'll begin actually with Mr. Syndrome.